Good evening. You are watching PM eVidya channels and NCERT's official YouTube channel. I am Rahul and we bring you the session of webinar, and today's webinar is based on cyber safety and security, and the topic is very important. Why I am saying this? Because this is the need of the hour to understand this in a deep way. Cyber bullying and safety. As we know, bullying, ragging, those are the words which we have countered a few years back, but this cyber bullying is nowadays we should talk about. So to explain this wonderful topic, we have our guest, Dr. Anjuman Bess. She is a psychologist and she will helping us to understand how we can counter it. Thank you for joining us. A very good evening and a very warm welcome, Dr. Anjuman.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to the entire NCERT team. Thank you so much.
All right. We would like to know this subject from you as an establishment so that we can know and we can understand how we can, secure ourselves in this cyber safety and security week, so that you may help us. Would you like to share the insight of the same?
Absolutely. I would love to. And thanks a lot again to the NCERT team for picking up such a very, super important topic. It was almost 6 to 7 years back when I felt that there was an immediate need to have discussion on the same. But back then it was something that was put behind. But I'm so happy that our government of India, NCERT, even CBSE, I remember I had gone there also for cyber safety concerns, are working with educators, are working with our people in general and telling them about safety. So as I said, it's lovely. And now with your permission, I would like to start with my entire presentation.
Yes, please. We can see your presentation on the screen. Wait a minute.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I can see it. Before starting with the presentation, a question arises. Why have counseling psychologists been called to talk about safety when this is a topic that should be addressed by probably an engineer, a software engineer, somebody who knows what the tools and techniques are, or either a police officer who can talk about the thing? Why call a counseling psychologist and a mental health expert? Well, you'll be amazed to know that in the area of cyber safety and cyberbullying, all these three people are very, very core important when it comes to working with the perpetrator and the victim. Specifically when it comes to the area of cyberbullying, from a perspective of mental health and a psychologist, what happens to a cyberbully? What is the psychological impact that happens on a cyber victim? What are the results of the same? All this arena falls into the category under mental health, under the expertise of the psychologist. And that is the reason that this common issue that the entire country is facing, in fact, I should say that globally that's a concern, we need people from multidisciplinary approach to talk about it. So of course you can learn about how to safeguard your laptops from the threat from a professional. Of course, NCERT has had some wonderful pointers on the same. But you also need to know that in case your child ends up being cyberbullied, or you yourself end up having that, how to overcome the psychological impact and how to find out that a student in your class or even a client who's coming to you has been a victim of cyberbullying, how to report it, how to find them. I'm going to tell you the psychological aspect of the same. Now, my journey starts from 6 years back.
Okay.
I remember that I wanted to have my research project in the area of cyber psychology, another very upcoming stream in the field of psychology. And I remember I was having this discussion with my professors where I said that I want to work on this. And they were like, but this is not a very trending topic. Work on depression, work on anxiety. These are the concerns. And back then I felt that, no, this is probably there, but is not talked a lot about. I realized the major issue when I went on data collection for my research work, and I realized that I wasn't permitted in schools because I remember some of the conversation with some of the principals, and I wouldn't quote them, respecting from where they come. But I was told that what is cyber psychology and why do you want to come here? No, we don't have any kid who's been cyberbullied. All this is not relevant. I will request you to please not collect data on the same. I can say with complete assurance that there's nobody who's been cyberbullied. And I was literally not permitted by schools and principals to enter and collect data to see how many students or children in India have been cyberbullied. And it wasn't that they were scared about the fact, but because they were very unaware of what cyberbullying was. It was, of course, quite later on, about 2 years back, that I could enter and penetrate through this entire system where schools started realizing that no, there are some children who are having this issue, and it turned out that indeed they were the victims, and that was the reason why they weren't performing well in schools. That was the reason why they were not eating well. So, with that, I'm going to begin by explaining you what exactly cyberbullying is. Now, cyberbullying doesn't have a specific definition, and I want to say it from this platform because a lot of people come and say this is the ultimate definition of cyberbullying. You
Okay.
search it anywhere, whether it's WHO, UNESCO, there isn't a specific definition for cyberbullying. But cyberbullying is mixture of a lot of things which I've tried to place it on the slide. Cyberbullying includes any kind of electronic communication to the bully or a person who's typically trying to send you messages or be in contact through you or to you by some intimidating messages or by trying to threaten you.
Okay.
If you experience any of these two things, then that falls into the category of being cyberbullied. Apart from that, there's also another extension, which is like in case you are being harassed or you've been, taken upon by some of the people out there, then that also falls into the category of cyberbullying. In fact, I will request all of you to actually go and read a little about the Information Technology Act that was launched by our government of India in 2000, which will help you to further understand what are the laws which are there. I mentioned an Indian Penal Code. I'll just give you one single slider for a little briefer later on. But just for better knowledge, I will address the audience and our Indian, citizens to be well aware about this thing.
Right. Awareness, I think, is the means awareness is the most important thing nowadays, and if means as you rightly mentioned, the Information Technology Act 2000 is very helpful. Securing us
Absolutely,
in the
Mr. Ram.
cyberspace. Yes. All
You
right.
know, awareness is very important. As I just shared with you right now and with our entire audience, that the problem is that research is not possible. We are unable to gather the data in order to find out how many victims are there. Being a psychologist, I get so less people who are affected by it as my clients so that I can help them because there's so less awareness. Right. So, as you rightly said, I agree with you that awareness is the key. And I think that's what NCERT is also trying to do through its program. Now, I would request you to take me to the next slide, please.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the prevalence in India. I mean, why exactly do we need to talk in India? India has so many issues. We have to cater to education in general. We have to look at the social economic status. There's so many things that India has to work on. Why at all take this as a topic right now? Well, the prevalence rate is huge. In fact, something that you're watching on the slide, I will take an example of something from the last year's newspaper. Check that out. It's Times of India, Hindustan Times, India Today. They had taken out an entire data where they said that the amount of child pornography and cyberbullying has risen ever since pandemic came in because a lot of people are online, so the intensity has increased far more. Therefore, India became one of the top leading countries which cyberbullying is high. In fact, I would address all of you right here to read one of the articles that was done, a research done by Microsoft, I think last year only, where they found out that India stands at third level when it comes to cyberbullying and specifically within the age group of 12 to 29 years. You can also check out the National Crime Records of, Bureau, where they have also mentioned that the cases have risen significantly. Now, with that, I would request our, people to please change the slide to the next one.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Now, continuing on the same, the emphasis of the same, why talk about cyberbullying? See, it's very important. I've quoted you the numbers and statistics, but I'll tell you what the main problem is and why we need to talk about it. Number one is, uh, Mr. Rahul and all the audience, people aren't aware about how do I know that I'm being bullied and I need to complain. So at the first shot, I don't know whether I'm a victim or not.
Yes.
I just am talking to a friend. So I really don't know whether I'm a victim or not. So therefore, number one, that is one of the reasons why a lot of people are not reporting. They
Yes.
don't know whether
Yes.
they are being bullied or whether some kind of criminal offense is happening with them.
Even how
That
they can report this incident.
absolutely.
They don't even know.
Absolutely, rightly said. Because they don't know that whether they've been
Yes.
bullied, isn't it? So they don't know whether to report. Reporting comes second. First is I don't know whether I am being bullied. I just don't know what is the
Yes.
criteria. So that's number one. Number two is if they know that something isn't good, especially in the
Okay.
case of children who are being, swept into some sexual favors, especially these very young children, they are so scared. And I'm speaking as a psychologist, so scared to even tell their own parents that they keep it within themselves. And the perpetrator who is affecting the victim keeps harassing the victim for I don't know how long. There have been cases where they've been doing it to the child for more than a year, and the child has been going through all of this for more than a year purely by the fear of saying that something like this is happening. That is another reason why we have less reports in India, and that is the reason there's so less awareness about it because people don't know what it is, and then they're very scared to talk about it as well. In fact, I'll just share some statistics which are right there on this, which is point number three, where actually it was seen, and all the statistics that I'm giving here, they are not about international statistics, they're all India records that I'm giving right here, and they found out that almost 40% of the people, the action that they took, this is very interesting, Mr. Rahul, that the action that they took was not to report. Almost 40% of the people, when they felt that something wasn't good, they ended up blocking the person. That's all that they did. They
Yes.
thought, okay,
Yes.
just block it, and the
That's
thing
the
is
end.
over.
That's the end of the discussion, I think.
Absolutely. So almost 40% people say just block it and it's done. They neither report the account from where they've been sent,
Yes.
they neither place it and tell it to any of their parents, they neither even report it in the law system. So
Yes.
that's one major reason
No
why
identification. Actually, no identification available for the account which is doing all these shit, I think.
absolutely, absolutely. Like I can just give you an example of let's say Instagram. So something like that is happening to you. You will just block the person.
Yes.
There's also an option of reporting in that. Report the account. But we wouldn't do that, right? We just think blocking is equal to problem is out and out of sight, out of mind. But that person makes another account and
Yes.
starts bullying you again.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Agreed.
so that is one of the problems that majorly is happening. You need to report, you need to do it. And if somebody is making multiple accounts and is coming in the form of different identities, then definitely you need to be alert. The second problem is ignoring. Best thing that
Yes.
most of the people do right here is, leave it, ignore it. It's just person. He won't literally come to your house and do anything to you. So you can ignore it. And that is, you'll be amazed to hear that 30% of India's population does that. So imagine if 30% were to report, where would our entire, percentage of victims would have gone to?
Right.
So how
Right.
would that go away?
30.3%.
Absolutely. Imagine almost that much people say ignore, let's ignore. So
Okay.
half of the ratio is not coming out at all. And the last percentage which actually reports, and that's amazing for you, I will really want you to look at the presentation. There's just 4.55% of people who are really going to police, who are really taking legal actions and are reporting. So imagine the statistic that I gave you in the beginning, where India falls at number 3 as per the Microsoft research done last year. In the case of cyberbullying, they are only coming from the reports given by 4.55% of victims. Rest 40% who are just blocking or 30% who are ignoring aren't even calculated in this ratio. Imagine if they are added into the data, where will India reach in the cases of cyberbullying? Therefore, again, this is very, very important why we need to talk about cyberbullying and why it is such a huge issue right now at this platform. In fact, you'll be amazed to know that almost 68% of people who attack or are perpetrators are their own loved ones or are the people who they know in proximity. So it could be your friend who knows you in a class and will make different accounts. It could be your colleague in an office who knows you but hates you. So is going to make different accounts and try to put on hate comments or morph your picture and trying to bully you. So again, this is another very startling ratio that is there. I would want you to change the slide now.
Yes.
All right, now what's the major difference between a normal bullying and a cyberbullying? I've tried to be very precise and concise with my presentation because I want not too much information, but I want a message to go. at least something that people will remember, and that is that what is the major difference? Cyberbullying is far more dangerous than a normal bullying. And I can say that because of the following reasons. Number one, the impact and the scale of effect is triple than physical bullying. The reason is because this person who is trying to bully you through using your pictures and other accounts can have access to not just you, but in one single click can send your pictures to, I don't know, 30,000 people in one single go. Whereas in physical bullying, it's just one on one, or maximum 10 people versus one person. Therefore, the impact that it can have is far more higher versus a normal physical bullying. Number two is the targets and the perpetrators. They are anonymous. You can't see them, so they're behind the cameras. So therefore, it's very hard to find who's bullied you. Therefore, it's far more scarier, or I would say serious, than a normal bullying situation. Next is location. 24/7, the person is not placed at the same place. So they might be using a phone and changing their places. Again, that is a difficulty why our police also finds to find them out, is because it's very hard to find out where they are. That's another reason why it's so important and so far bigger than a normal bullying. And third, which is where my psychology and as a psychologist and mental health worker work comes in, and that is for the victim, the attack doesn't feel like a normal attack that you will feel if you're bullied physically at your workplace or in school. The attack feels like multiple attacks. Now, what exactly multiple attacks is? It's not just one time that I talk to you like this and I don't meet you for a long time. That happens in physical bullying. In multiple attacks, I mean that the person will constantly keep sending you messages from either Instagram, Facebook, take your number, send you from normal message. It's multiple platform attack that happens on the person. And it happens non-stop 24/7 or consecutively, far more persistent than a normal bullying situation. Therefore, the psychological impact of cyberbullying on the victims is far higher, far severe than a normal bullying situation. Now, I would request you, Mr. Rahul, to take on to the next slide, please.
Yes, yes, please.
Now, how to spot a victim? This is where I wanted to spend more time because I was going through some of the earlier webinars that were conducted. And it was wonderful to see that some told us how to protect our system and also how to parent. But the question is, how will I come to know that the person sitting in my room is being bullied or is going through something? What are the signs of it? Here are the ways to spot a victim in your proximity. Number one, if you see some radical changes in their moods, they remain upset for a very long time, they suddenly remain sad for a very long time. You probe a lot and they say, there's something that I can't tell you, but chodo na. Or they become extremely angry. If these are some of the signs you're seeing, you need to be instantly aware of, is there something that's happening? Please address the issue immediately. Specifically, if you see these mood changes when they are on either phone or when they are using internet. That's sign number one. Sign number two, very big sign. They withdraw from families and friends. Later on, I'll tell you how this is directly related to also being a victim. Third
Yes,
is
maybe they are feeling shy, so they want to withdraw from the family or friends.
absolutely, that is one reason.
This is the
Shyness is
change
one
of
reason.
mind. Maybe they can feel as a victim.
Absolutely,
So we
Mr.
have to
Victor.
identify. Yes.
You know, Mr. Rahul, because they're so scared, they're so confused that they don't know how to say it. They don't say it, speak about it. It all, the entire sadness and this tension engulfs them completely. And that is the reason they want to stay away, isolated, alone.
It is a
Because
kind of emotional trauma they can feel, right?
it's pure emotional trauma that is going on. And I have seen it personally. So I don't know, I don't say that from this platform I can justify the amount of severe psychological effect that happens because I've seen it for real in front of me. The next one is that there's also a reluctance to do daily activities. So let's say they enjoyed reading. Now they will say, I'm not in a mood to do. They will start leaving from meeting people. They will be reluctant. If it's a student in the classroom, they will have sudden changes in the grades. They will suddenly start performing bad. Other things would include that they will increasingly stay on phone because they are always scared that what next that person is going to release their information. So they'll be always on edge. They can also, in extreme cases, go into clinical depression and clinical anxiety or sadness as well. I will request you to go to the next slide, please. Other
Yes.
quick symptoms that you can also catch upon is they will have disturbance in sleeping. You can also have physical differences, like they will start saying, I have a lot of stomach ache, headache, don't talk to me, irritable mood. They will suddenly, if they have some message appearing, they will run towards the phone and try to see it. Why? Because they're so scared that I hope no message has been sent by that perpetrator. I hope no photo has been morphed and sent by that person. So that fear will always be echoing around them. There can be also an excessive weight loss, excessive weight gain in extreme case. And yes, that's true. And I'm saying it very confidently from this platform. If it's not addressed, it can go to an as extreme state of suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts because they might think I can never come out of this space because they're not speaking to other people about it. So that's how serious it can be. Now, I will request you to take me to the next slide, please. Now, there are different types of cyberbullying. I am just going to quote them because I have to be very concise in the time that I have. And of course, you can read about it. I think NCERT, in combination with UNESCO, they have released a manual which was made on cyber safety. So you can check that out. Free PDFs are available online. They're going to be wonderful for you to quickly read up about it. But briefly telling you, cyberbullying can happen in three types: emotional harassment. So it can just include as just emotionally trying to harass you in a certain way. Next is social exclusion. They will try to completely isolate you from people, or they will try to, tell you how bad or how good you are. Next is defamation. This basically includes that they will try to post or send you certain things or do certain activities online so that your reputation gets affected. This is very common amongst nowadays because teachers are taking online classes, and a lot of students who have a tendency to be a bully are doing this.
Yes,
They
yes.
take teachers' pictures, make memes, morph them, just in order to lower their reputation. So
They are not
that
aware. Actually, they are not aware that they do some bully with someone. Actually,
absolutely,
they are not aware about it. So the
absolutely.
responsibility of the teacher becomes more tougher, I think.
I think that is one of the reasons, Mr. Rahul, that we are talking about it because from this platform, not only teachers will know about it, even the students will be watching will know, okay, this is a serious thing, and
Yes.
I can be taken into law court for this. Uh, this I cannot do. So the seriousness of it, as I said, I wasn't allowed into schools because they didn't think it's an issue, right? So by today's platform, we are understanding how serious this issue is. And that's exactly rightly said that this is also happening with the teachers. Now, right here, I'm going to quickly brief you of how a person who's a bully approaches a victim. Why this is important is because, of course, we know how the tools are. But rightly, if you remember, Mr. Rahul, I said in the beginning, how will I come to know that I'm being, targeted? I'm being
Right.
approached. I've been, you see in the movies, the perpetrator has a big wall
Yes.
on which they stick their victims.
Yes,
So
yes.
how
They
do I
have some
know that
radar kind of thing. They are actually
absolutely,
monitoring your location, your, day-to-day
absolutely,
activities. They are trapping you.
absolutely. So how would I know that I am under somebody's target? This is an example that I'm giving from what is called grooming. This specifically happens with children who are targeted by perpetrators who are wanting to use them for sexual, favors or are also into child pornography. But this same pattern can also happen in normal circumstances, which have nothing to do with child pornography specifically. The first step that they use is bribing. So, in bribing, what they do is they try and say that they can either give you certain things that their loved ones or people around them can't do. This is their favorite thing to do. They will act as if they are your best friends and they will try to bribe you by giving you something. Second is flattery. So they will compliment you on, oh, how beautiful you are, how great you are, and flattery is the next one. C is intimacy. Intimacy is they will try to be your best friends, like your father, like your guru. In certain way, they will try to be have more intimate relationships with you. Number D is desensitization. They will try to desensitize you. E is threats and blackmailing. Very common. A lot of people know about this. So the effect of this has reduced, if I be honest. By now, all of us know about cyber threats and those identity theft, credit card issues. So less people get into this, but that's also true. And F is scattergun approach. Scattergun approach is amazing. What these people who find out their targets do is They use all these strategies from up to down and see whatever works, let's use that. So that is scattergun approach. Now let's go to the next slide, please. Okay. How does a perpetrator reach? Now, these are stepwise ways of how they do it. So first thing what they do is they prepare to contact. And how do they prepare to contact? Very interesting. They use different identity styles. Number one is using false identity. So such as they will put a picture of somebody else who they are not. So that's false identity tactic. Number two is static identity. They will sustain to having just one single identity rather than shifting to identities. Next is dynamic identity. Dynamic identity is if today they are 49 years old, tomorrow they will become 28-year-old. They will keep making multiple accounts and change their identities constantly. Next is authority identity. This is, Mr. Rahul, one of the very, very common thing among which people don't know, but they get into trap. Authority identity in which they will show that they are professors of somewhere and they're giving some free sessions. And if you join and you meet them there, then this is going to be great for them. So a lot of children, they see it as a great opportunity and they listen to this authority because they look up to that person and they actually physically go and meet and then get into the trap of a perpetrator. In fact, you may know, Mr. Rahul, that in London there was a big case, UK there was a big case where a person acted as a professor, and they said that some of the good students will be getting a trip to Prague. The kids filed in, very good children, almost 10 boys filed in. They met the person in person and then children were sexually assaulted or the videos were made and then they were blackmailed by this. So this is quite true. Authority identity is another one. Number two is next step, what they do. They contact the victim. So they send these kind of messages to n number of people. It's not that they find one victim and then they're after it. It's not like movies. These people send the same messages to almost every single person and they do a hit and try method. If somebody responded, they found the victim. So they do it like this.
Right, that's their actually target. Once somebody replied to their message or email, and that's the catch for them.
Yes, in fact, you will agree to me, Mr. Rahul, that you must have seen in your Instagram or Facebook extra messages. So many people sending, will you be my friend? Will you be something else? We just, because we're aware, so we delete them. But a lot of kids and a lot of even young ladies and men get into the trap.
Yes.
So that's what they do. They find their victims. Once they find it, they start maintaining deeper relationships with them. What they use is a technique of effect of mirroring. What mirror is? Mirror is, if I stand in front of mirror, I will see my face, right? So what they do is, in order to make a trust, they start saying, oh, you have the same interest. I also have the same interest. Oh, you like this movie. I also like this movie. So what they do is they try and create as if we are both so similar and they build that trust. And the person starts feeling, my parents, my siblings, they're all bad. I found my eternal soulmate who is just like me. And that's where that person gets an edge. Third thing what that person does is he starts reducing the barriers against his victims. He knows if a parent is there, who lives with them? So they start getting into the in-depth idea of who lives with you, who are the people. Now you trust them, right? They are your friends. So you start telling everything to them. And there they start reducing the barrier. They start getting closer to you. In some cases, this specifically happens with adolescents. Adolescents are very curious souls. They are very, very into finding out about their sexuality. So usually with this age, they start sharing some sexual content, which is 18 plus blocked by YouTube. And then children find it, wow, they're showing me a different world. And that's how they reduce their barriers and become much more interesting. Fourth level is, once they've done all of this, they use the theory of I am your exclusive friend, or they make attempts to isolate the victim. So they will start making the person feel, your parents, they aren't good. You will often see at this stage, if the victim says, I am in deeply love with this person I met on Facebook, and you are trying to get into my way of, love, understand that they have reached to the fourth stage already. Because the child or the person has already reached to this point where now they are fighting against the family, against the trusted people that no, this person is my better friend than you. Last stage, of course, is once they get in the trap, the blackmailing starts, personal appointments start. If the person ends a meeting, then the entire series of the court and law, disclaimers start. So that's how a perpetrator approaches you.
Right.
Now let's go on to the next slide. Coming to
Yes.
quick solutions. Of course, there are lots of solutions, Mr. Rahul, and I know that not just NCRT but other platforms have told you how to protect your computer. So I won't
Right.
go into that because I'm going into the psychology of what happens to the victim and how perpetrator approaches. But there are some top 5 rules that I say you should know by heart. It's like a religious thing that you should know. Number one is please, please, please always remember anything that you put on internet will remain there even if you delete it. So there are concepts like dark web. There are other places that you know already exist. Don't think that I have put it, I've deactivated my account, I'm safe. Once on the internet, always on internet. So remember that rule forever, everyone, please. If you want to be safe, think before you post. If you're wanting to post a lot about where we are going on holiday, every single, I see this a lot, Mr. Rahul, and that disturbs me because a lot of people, they're so happy by traveling, they do those check-ins which are on
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes. Yes. They
So
provide the location access to the application, if I am right.
yes, yes. So literally what they do is they are doing check-ins of every single hour that they are going.
Right.
And that is super dangerous because every hour where you're moving, which locations you're changing, you
Right.
are putting it on the platform for so many people to see. So that is another problem. Then a lot of family pictures, like once and fine is okay, but legit every single event's picture is going online. So they know, okay, this person is repetitively coming closer to this person. It's very easy to find out where you stay. That's another thing.
Right.
But this is one major problem that I have with check-ins. I would share that. Next is check your camera. I'm using a camera right now of my laptop, but I know I'm safe with NCRT. But if I
Yes.
would say it otherwise, I have to be very certain about the camera. You will be amazed to know, I think, of course, other people who work with ITC tools might have said, but your camera, even if you think it's closed, might be still processing.
Right.
I was laughing and talking to some of my family members back then. I said, I was just talking about this brand, and suddenly I started getting ads of it while my phone was switched off. So, because you give your microphone access to, let's say, for an Apple phone or any other place, so everything is
Okay.
constantly recorded. So just be sure what you're doing. Next is, of course, everybody knows I won't spend time on this. Please keep resetting your passwords. I know we have this difficulty. We forget our password. So we make the easiest password and apply it on all our accounts. But please try not do that. You're just building more, you're just ending up being much more vulnerable. Next, which is very important, is of course the last one is to spread awareness, which we are doing
Yes.
that.
We
But
are doing actually. We are trying to do.
our level best. Even I'm part of this, so that's my attempt as well with you. But build a support system.
Right.
I went to a university, it's very, very famous as a speaker, but that was a very different thing. It was about mental health, Mr. Rahul. And I asked them to make a circle. So I did an experiment where I told it was a it was a big hall where almost 60 to 70 engineers were sitting. And I was taking this talk and I asked them that take a sheet of paper and make concentric circles where in the center you put your name and around them start putting people who are closest and then farther away like this.
Okay.
I was amazed to see that almost after 70, half of the class didn't even know who to put in the first circle. I was
Okay.
amazed to see they didn't even put their own parents in that circle because they said, we can't immediately trust them to share if we get into trouble immediately. I'll be scared, I can't tell them. And that's what the major concern is. If
Yes.
you have very less people in your immediate circle, chances are mental health issue will creep in very
Yes.
far and
Yes.
quicker to you
Those young
because
folks, I think those young folks are easy targets for the hackers or maybe the culprits.
because Mr. Rahul, they are lacking on meaningful
Right.
relationships and trustworthy relationships. As a result of which, in their mind, on that sheet of paper, the experiment that I did, they didn't had a name.
Right.
And most of them were also students who were outstation students who came to Delhi for studies. Imagine they will just be on internet and what they will be seeking for.
Okay.
So that's another major issue which exists, and I will request everybody from this platform function on building more meaningful relationship. Find that one person at least in your life, or at least two, whom immediately at 9 at night or even 2 at night you can call and say, "I'm in trouble and I need you,"
Right.
and you're back there, and you need to start building on that. Can I have the next slide, please?
Okay.
All right, now I will go in entire detail of this. This, of course, you can find a PDF of. If I would address, if there, you know, some lawyers or other people, then you can also ask from them. But broadly saying, Indian law system has all these ideas. This falls under our Indian Penal Code. So if you plan to report it, then don't be worried. Our Indian system has it. There are different sections under which you can report the issue. You can go through this on internet. There are free PDFs available about our Indian Penal Code, so feel free to go and read it. I won't spend too much time talking about the same. Can we go on the next slide, please?
All these sections of IPC are very important for each and everyone.
Absolutely, as I rightly said. Now, I have given you some of the websites where you should report if, point number one, you see that something of that is happening. So, I shared with you 5 stages when you know that I am becoming a victim. If you feel you're at any of the stages, report at these places that I'm going to share with you. Number two, if anybody closer to you shows any of those signs that were there in the first slide or third slide, please, please immediately go to that person and talk. If you think that person is not opening up, please go to a psychologist and let them handle the case. That will help up opening up the case, and that psychologist can assist you with law court and help report the case. Now, what are the platforms? Number one, our Indian government has themselves created this www.cybercrime.government.in. This is also the place, Mr. Rahul, where you can find these Indian Penal Code, all of these ICPC, the laws that I shared with you in the last slide. So if you want to read about them, you can also go on this website. You have
Right.
entire definition.
Yes.
No
I have
worries.
tried this once in 2018.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yes.
wow. Wonderful. That we have a person who was cyber victimized himself.
Yes, yes.
So, right
I
after
did.
this is probably my life slide. I would like to know your experience also. Maybe this can help others
Because
learn.
I was receiving some fake messages, and they are trying to do something. I might be able to means identify that this is something fake, and they are trying to bully me, or they are trying to harass me. So
Yeah.
immediately I have used this service, cybercrime
Yeah.
.gov.in, and this was really helpful for me.
Absolutely. So we have one person from NCERT saying that they themselves went on this site,
Yes.
reported it, and it was really helpful for them. So please, these sites, I sure, with us, we have this thought, what will happen if we report? What action will be taken? No, you'll be amazed to know. Even I know people in my proximity who have reported and they've got immediate results in about 10 days or so, and it's been sorted.
Immediate means immediate results, and it is very easy to understand, easy to use, easy to fill your details, just like we did for our social media portals, just like age, email ID, and gender, and we can make an account. So just like MIS, we can use this easily. There is no threat, there is no kind of hesitation from police, from people who are there to help you. So they can help you, but you have to reach to them.
Absolutely. Mr. Rahul, one wonderful thing is even if you're confused, what are the systems? They have entire help page where you get all your hard questions being answered by
Yes,
government.
yes,
What should I do? What will happen to me if I report? Will police come to my place? They literally answered that also.
yes,
So I would really want, even if you don't have a case right now and you're not under a victim situation,
yes.
still it's good to be informed. Why not just go onto this side while you're having your food and just scribble through what our government has done, isn't it?
Right.
Next, another one is Cyber BAP, which is of course there. I call it BAP, but of course it's like BAAP. Uh, I think they have also been a little creative to write down BAAP.
Yes,
They
yes.
will pronounce it BAP. But if that, of course, so number one, I will want you to report it to government. Number two is CyberBAP also works in the same, so you can report at the same place also. National Cybercrime Portal helpline number has also been mentioned. You can find that on the cybercrime website, which is point number one also, but still mentioned it in case you want to do a call. But in the digital time, I will want you that it's better to report versus make a call. Sometimes, calls are unable to reach out or something like that. So better you report it. Last, of course, I've given you my number just because I don't know how many people are working with the cyber victims. But because I've spent a lot of time working in the field of cyber psychology, so in case you have a child or somebody in your loved ones has gone through cyber victimization, is feeling very low, is now unable to come out of that trauma, then please take them to psychologists. Of course, I've mentioned my mail ID right here. My name is Dr. Anjuman Gaines, but we have other psychologists also working that are there, freely available, who will be ready to take up this case. In fact, Mr. Rahul, very interesting fact. And I think with this, I would like to end my entire platform, and that is that a lot of psychologists, when they also go through diagnosing a person, they never ever, ask that what is the supposed reason for feeling like this. So they always think probably they've had a breakup, something else has happened. This question also never strikes in a psychologist. I need to also ask them, are you being bullied online? Just saying it, right?
Right.
So again, if I say that if psychologists aren't also asking this question, then a person, it could be that a victim has just come to your doorstep, has sat with you, but you lost it because
Right,
you didn't
right.
ask that question.
Right, right.
So that's about it.
This was really wonderful, and I think this must be a meaningful session for us. Dr. Anjuman, we have received a few questions. We just need to add because we have hardly 5-7 minutes.
I know.
Saksham Saint, what to do if we are getting cyber bullied by a fake account? I hope this is already answered into a second or third slide. But if you can give some answer precisely to him.
Okay, very quickly, Saksham, I'll put it very briefly. That is number one, as rightly Mr. Rahul also and I agreed, you need to immediately report it. First of all, block the account, or don't just block the account, have a screenshot. I forgot to say it. Keep evidences. The police will like to see your evidence. So screenshot that account, report that account, then go to the website of government, www.cybercrime, and report it. If they're asking to attach an evidence, attach the screenshot of that account with it, and definitely the police will take care of it. You don't need to worry, but immediately go to that website.
Right, thank you very much. And quickly, we have a second question. Is there any app to prevent children from bullying, or any online community toll-free number to help the victim? I hope we have shown them in the last slide.
Absolutely. The community helpline numbers I've shown you at the end. So of course you can look at all of these as well. You can reach out to me also. I will try and guide you also in the same how you can go about it. But I will again say, if it's a cyber-related reporting issue, you already have it. If it's a child and you think that the child is a victim, a very interesting thing I'm saying, where mental health workers come, Mr. Rahul also is, if you see that your child is becoming a victim and you see any of these 5 stages at which they are, you don't know, they're not listening to you. No, you don't tell me, Mama, I know what I'm doing. Then you take them to a psychologist. Psychologist will help to unwind that attachment with that perpetrator and help and save your child. So that's how mental health workers can also help.
Right, right. Agreed with you, and all the points which you have covered and shared the data stats with us. I think this is very helpful for us to understand what is actually cyberbullying and the topic of cyberbullying and safety within this webinar series of our cyber safety and security. Thank you, Dr. Anjuman. You have joined us and to explain this wonderful topic in a very precise and interesting way. And all of you have shown us there is a cyber BAP for every, for everyone to save us from the culprits. Thank you very much for joining with us. From the entire NCERT's team, we must say thank you.
Thank you so much for picking up this topic, and I really love being here. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you very much. So this is the session of webinar based on cyber safety and security comes to an end, but this session will be saved on YouTube. You can watch later on once you have any doubt, any problem, any kind of problem, and you can also send us an email. You can see on the screen, training@ciet.nic.in. If you have any kind of question related this matter, you can descriptively mention in this email and send to us. We will definitely reply you and trying to help you and trying to solve your problem. Thank you very much for joining with us. Namaskar. We will be right back with the next session. Namaskar.